De ahí los vamos a las headlights. Headlights are properly mounted secure, not cracked, not broken. We have a high beam, a low beam, a turning signal, and a four-way flasher in the correct color. Underneath our vehicle, we have no fresh leaks of coolant, oil, transmission fluid, or hydraulic leaks. Also make sure vehicle it's on level grounds, it's not leaning left or right, it has no flat tires, no suspension problems, or cargo loading problems. Over. Water pump. We're going to make sure that our water pump it's properly mounted secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken. It has no missing hardware and no coolant leaks. It's well mounted. The water pump it's belt driven, so make sure the belt doesn't have no more than 3/4 of free play. It's not cut, torn, frayed, or ripped. The water lines that go to the water pump, make sure they're properly mounted secure, not bent, not cracked, not broken, and no coolant leaks. And vamos con el lado del chofer. Alternator. Make sure that my alternator is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken. It has no missing hardware. Alternator is belt driven. Make sure the belt doesn't have more than 3/4 of free play. It's not cut, torn, or frayed. The alternator has 2 electrical connections, one positive, one negative. They're properly mounted secure. There is no cuts, tears, or frayed, and no exposed wires. My engine oil dipstick. Make sure that my oil levels are proper working range condition between max and minimum. My air compressor. Make sure that my air compressor it's properly mounted secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken. It has no missing hardware and it has no air leaks. My air compressor is gear driven. My power steering pump. Make sure that my power steering pump it's properly mounted secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken. It has no missing hardware. It has no oil leaks. It is gear driven. My airlines. Make sure that my airlines are properly mounted secure, not cut, torn, frayed, or ripped, and there's no air leaks. My coolant reservoir. Make sure that my coolant reservoir is properly mounted secure. It's not cracked, it's not broken, it has no missing hardware, and our coolant level is between max and minimum in working range condition. And the cap's present. The coolant lines or hoses that come in and out of the reservoir are properly mounted secure. They're not cut, torn, or frayed, or ripped, and there's no coolant leaks. Power steering reservoir. Make sure it's properly mounted secure. It's not cracked, it's not broken, it has no missing hardware, and both caps are present, tight and secure. Our power steering level is between max and minimum, and there's no oil leaks on the container. The power steering lines are properly mounted secure. They're not cut, not torn, not frayed. There's no abrasions, no missing hardware, and no oil leaks. Gearbox. Make sure that my gearbox is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken. It has no illegal welds, no missing hardware, and no oil leaks. U-joints. Make sure that my U-joints are properly mounted secure. Not bent, not cracked, not broken, and no missing hardware. Steering column. Make sure that my steering column is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken, it has no missing hardware, and no more than 10 degrees of plate left or right. My pitman arm. My drag link. My upper control arm. My lower control arm. And my tie wrap. So, make sure that my pitman arm is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken. It has no illegal welds and no missing hardware. My pitman arm connects to my drag link. Make sure that my drag link is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken, and no illegal welds and no missing hardware. My upper control arm. Make sure it's properly mounted secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken, no illegal welds, and no missing hardware. My lower control arm. Make sure it's properly mounted secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken, and no illegal welds. My tie rod. Make sure that my tie rod's properly mounted secure, not bent, not cracked, not broken, and no illegal welds. Make sure that my steering linkage system, it's all connected with crown nuts and quarter pins. Make sure that the crown nuts and the quarter pins are properly mounted secure. They're not cracked, they're not broken, there's no rust trails or shiny threads to indicate loose or missing hardware. My suspension. We're going to start with our frame. Make sure that my frame is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken, no illegal welds. Spring mounts. My spring mounts and hangers. Make sure they're properly mounted secure. Not bent, not cracked, not broken, no illegal welds, and no missing hardware. My leaf springs. Make sure they're properly mounted secure, not bent, cracked, or broken, and no illegal welds. U-bolts. Make sure that my U-bolts are properly mounted secure, not cracked, not broken, there's no rust trails, no shiny threads, or missing hardware. Shock absorber. Make sure that my shock is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken, has no missing hardware, and no oil leaks. Front steering axle. Front steering axle is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken, and no illegal welds. Now the brake system. Brake chamber. Make sure that my brake chamber is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken, no missing hardware, and no air leaks. My brake chamber has air lines. Make sure that my air lines are properly mounted secure. They're not cut, torn, frayed, or ripped, and there's no air leaks. My ABS electrical wire. Our vehicle is ABS equipped, so make sure the wire is properly mounted secure. It's not cut, torn, or frayed, and no exposed wires, and well connected to the sensor. My push rod and slack adjuster. Make sure that my push rod and slack adjuster are both properly mounted secure, not bent, cracked, or broken, no missing hardware, and no more than 1 inch of play with your brakes released. Brake drum and brake shoes. Make sure that my brake drum and brake shoes are both properly mounted secure. They're not bent, cracked, or broken. There's no grease or oil leaks, no residue. Make sure we have minimum 1/4 of brake lining material, which is required in order to be on the road. My front steering tire. Make sure that my front steering tire has a tread depth of 432s. My air pressure is between 100 and 110, depending on the manufacturer of your tire. Your front tire must be a virgin tire, not a recap or rethreaded original new tire. On the face and sidewall, make sure there's no nails, screws, cuts, tears, or freight. There's no abrasions and no air leaks. My rim. Make sure that the rim is properly mounted secure. It's not bent, cracked, or broken. Has no illegal welds or missing hardware. The lug nuts. Make sure the lug nuts are properly mounted secure. Not cracked, not broken, have no rust trails or shiny threads to indicate loose or missing hardware. Hub oil seal cover. Make sure that my hub oil seal cover is properly mounted secure. It's not cracked, not broken, and has no missing hardware, and is filled to the proper oil level. Valve stem and cap. Make sure that our valve stem and cap are both present. Make sure there's no air leaks, and our air pressure is between 100 and 110, depending on the manufacturer of your tire. Emergency airline. Make sure that my emergency airline is properly mounted secure. It's not cut, not torn, not frayed, not ripped, has no abrasions, and there's no air leaks. My glad hand and coupling connection are properly mounted secure, not cracked, not broken, has a rubber seal between them, and no air leaks. Our electrical line. Make sure that our electrical line is properly mounted secure. It's well connected to the housing, secured in place with our pigtail. The electrical line has no cuts, no tears, no freight, no abrasions, and no copper wire showing. Our service airline. Our service airline is properly mounted and secure. It's not cut, torn, or frayed. It has no rips, no abrasions, and no air leaks. My service glad hand and coupling connection are properly mounted and secure. Not cracked, not broken, has a rubber seal between them, and there's no air leaks. All three lines are long enough to connect to my trailer, but short enough to have the proper clearance away from the catwalk and the frame. Now we're going to go to our fifth wheel system. We're going to start with our apron. Make sure that our trailer apron is properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, not cracked, not broke, and no illegal welds, and it's well mounted to the trailer. Skid plate. Make sure that our skid plate is properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken, and no illegal welds. Between our apron and the skid plate, no gap or space between them. Pivot pin. Make sure that our pivot pin is properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, not cracked, not broken, no illegal welds, and properly greased, and no missing hardware. Platform. Make sure that our platform is properly mounted and secure. It's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not broken, no illegal welds, and well greased. The pivot pin holds the skid plate in place. The platform gives you the proper clearance you need so that the fifth wheel or the skid plate can pivot forward and backwards without touching the frame. Mounting bolts. Make sure that our mounting bolts are properly mounted and secure. Not cracked, not broken, no rust trails or shining threads to indicate loose or missing hardware. Release arm. Make sure that our release arm is properly mounted and secure, and it's not cracked, not broken, and remains in the locking position while connected to the trailer, and the function it has is to open and close locking. Si me haces favor, los vamos a meter abajo de la trailer y quedar vueltas para la que sigue grabando, sigue grabando. Los vamos a meter ahí abajo. Ahora vamos a ir con el kingpin. Kingpin properly mounted and secure, not bent, not cracked, not broken, no illegal welds, and well greased. Locking jaws. Make sure they're properly mounted and secure, not bent, not cracked, not broken, no illegal welds, and well greased. And make sure to remain closed while connected to the trailer and secured around the kingpin. That concludes Pretrip A Special Letter A.